A conversation with Madison College President Dr. Jack Daniels this morning on For the Record. Good morning, I'm Neil Heinen. It hasn't been 4 months yet into the tenure of just the 8th president in the history of Madison Area Technical College, now known usually as Madison College. But it is clear from previous discussions that Dr. Jack Daniels is getting to know us, and this is our first opportunity for many of you to get to know him. He grew up on the south side of Chicago, has held education administrative leadership posts in Springfield, Illinois, and Los Angeles, California, among other stops in his career in community colleges. And we welcome him to For the Record this morning. Dr. Daniels, thanks very much.
Neil, thank you very much.
You know, you certainly have talked about this as part of a very public hiring process that you went through and over your first few months on the job, but just review for us what led you to Madison and why it felt like this was a worthy next step in your career.
Madison College has a national reputation, and I have always seen it from afar, be it from LA, be it from Springfield, Miami, and you really come to recognize the reputation that it has. When the position became open, I thought it was an ample opportunity for me to also lead the institution. I thought I had the skills, experience, and I felt prepared to do so. Therefore, I put my name in the hat, and what happened? I got chosen.
Is this the biggest institution that you've worked at?
This is the largest institution for a single college area.
Yeah.
But Los Angeles Community College District serves over 240,000 students.
Yeah.
And I worked throughout that district.
I think people watching this show might be surprised to know that Madison had a national reputation. Talk about that a little bit more.
As a technical college, what they have done in terms of their trade, their education, their focus on student success has been enumerated throughout the country. There's been many workshops that have been held by Madison College employees at national conferences that I've attended. So that reputation is very well out there and is very well deserved.
Yeah. Now, I believe you had a really good idea of what the college was like before you applied and as you applied. But now, having been here for a little more than 3 months, what are your impressions of both the city, Jack, and the college, and maybe the relationship between the two?
The college has confirmed that it is an excellent institution. The faculty are really committed. They've been excellently trained, and I'm so very proud of our students. Our students, I think, are the best in the country, and they show their wares, be it from a PTK to our Honor Society, through their theater, through their participation in competitions. They're just excellent. Madison, I have known Madison from afar. As a young kid, I came up in this area from Chicago to spend some summer vacations. I think Madison is really at a point of trying to determine what is their role going to be as they move forward.
As a city.
As a city.
Yeah.
There's a lot of building that's going on. The technology industry is really booming. I think there was a recent report, I saw it yesterday, that ranked, I think, Madison in terms of IT occupations and job opportunities, 8th in the nation. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for the city and the college to also partner on many things coming in the future.
So where we stand right now, is MATC the right fit for the community as the community is growing so rapidly?
Oh, without question. When you think about workforce development and economic development, I think we are at the center of that. Our training that allows individuals to go to the world of work is just tremendous, and we should be one of those major partners in those discussions.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about that, but just in terms, and you may have mentioned some surprises already, but have there been any major surprises for you, either positive or negative, in the first few months?
No real major surprises for me. But as I've gone on my quote-unquote tour that I've been for the last 4 months, something has really come out. Madison College, though it has a national reputation, it is well known within the state, it still seems to be the best kept secret in town. And that is somewhat surprising. We serve over 40,000 students, yet many of our local residents within a 12-county district don't actually know what we actually do. And that's an opportunity for us. An opportunity for us to be able to go into our communities, let them know what we actually do, and also be a part of those communities and be interactive and engaging with them.
You know, I think just an important proof of that, and I think you're absolutely right about people really not knowing exactly what Madison College does, is the fact that it is 8 counties with how many campuses?
We have 8 campuses.
So one in each of those 8 counties?
Right.
And, you know, I think a lot of people don't know that.
Right. In the city of Madison, there are 4 campuses. We have one, which is at Commercial Avenue, that's really focused on apprenticeship, as well as many of the trades. And then we have 3 other campuses within our Madison area. And then we have 4 regional centers. And we span as far as 72 miles to the west and 30 miles to the east and south.
And what's the next biggest campus?
I would believe it's probably Reedsburg.
Reedsburg, yeah. And then is there one in
Fort Atkinson.
Yep.
And then followed by probably Watertown and then Portage.
Just from an administrative perspective, are you happy with how all of those relate to each other in terms of your job as president of that college?
I think we have some very good staff in each one of those areas, including ones here in Metro. Part of our plan is to strengthen their ability to engage much more fully with their communities, as well as we focus on workforce development and economic development.
I would imagine each one of those colleges has growth issues with some differences, but some similarities, just in terms of population shifts, but also employment, the economy. How do you keep your eye on all of those in terms of the different needs, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at?
Like most multi-campus districts, each area that they have is very unique. That's where you have to really depend on the staff in those areas. They really know those areas. We have excellent regional directors. They are on the pulse. Fort Atkinson, it could be manufacturing.
Right.
We've got health in Reedsburg. We've also got some manufacturing up in Portage. And so when you start to look at those areas, it's important that engagement for those regional directors. And I feel very confident in what they do and their connection to our main campus here in Truax.
Thank you. That was a very good answer to a very poorly asked question.
Yeah.
You walked into a campus that had just gone through a major referendum. When we come back, we're going to talk about what that looks like here in Madison. Right?
Excellent.
I am back with Dr. Jack Daniels, who is the president of Madison Area Technical College, Madison College, if you will, almost 4 months into the job. And relatively recently, within the last couple of years, Jack, the region really gave a boost of support to Madison College in terms of a referendum. It was a big ask, and the community came through in a big way. Talk a little bit about the evidence of that investment and how perhaps wise it was for the community to do that.
First of all, I need to say thank you to all the taxpayers. Their support for Madison College has been tremendous, and it was obviously referenced by the bond and revenue initiative that occurred. It gave us the opportunity to look at our facilities, refine those facilities, but also build new ones that actually can focus on workforce and economic development. I'll give you a couple of examples. We have a tremendous school of health. That health academy has state-of-the-art simulations. There's also the relationship to our protective services, because oftentimes our fire and police need those EMS types of programs. And so we do the collaboratives between the protective services and the health academy. We train numbers of individuals in our health area.
In both nursing and related areas.
That's right. Our allied health areas are actually on the rise. And the building is near capacity in terms of how we're offering our courses. Our fire and police and EMS, whether in our protective services, are also serving that primary need for public safety and welfare and health as well. We also have put in a new center outside of our Welcome Center, which is called the Gateway, which is a fantastic building, student-focused, student-centered, student-developed in many ways. But our Ingenuity Center focuses in on manufacturing. And we have numbers of different technologies and equipment in those areas that prepare individuals, quality individuals, to go into the manufacturing arena. We've also done work at each one of our regional centers, which also have boosted their areas as well.
Okay, this is just interesting to me, but in addition to those areas, athletics is such an important part of college life at all levels. You know, when you think about even the role that community colleges play in the bigger athletic scene, it's just, it's a big deal for students. I don't think there's a real common view of the role athletics plays at the UW, and obviously there's been some neighbors' concerns about the growth of athletics. What's your perspective on the role of athletics in Madison College life?
In a comprehensive two-year institution, the role of athletics plays a very major part. Many of those students are sound. In fact, we call our athletes scholar athletes because it is the combination of athletics and the academics, as well as we have many students who are in our workforce areas. Most recently, we are national champs in volleyball. And as I've met each one of those 15 young ladies, some of them are in our technical training programs, some are in our transfer programs.
Got a good baseball team.
We've got a great baseball team. And when we talk about preparing individuals to move on from once they leave Madison, we've got an individual right now, one of our stars, who's just recently got a scholarship to a four-year institution. That's part of what we're looking at. How, in fact, can we enhance their learning, but also what are their own desires and objectives? And we can do that with baseball and volleyball and the rest of the 9 or 10 sports that we have. Just a quick plug, I know I went to our basketball games last night, and both of our teams won. So I'm very proud of our athletes, our scholar athletes.
All right, so just in terms of long-term strategic plan, growth in athletics would be part of that plan.
Yes, it would. I'm glad you brought up about the strategic plan. That's what we're embarking on right now. We are coming to determination of what the statement will be about our mission, vision, and values. We will then move into a strategic plan process over the next 5 months. During that strategic plan process, we will engage our communities throughout our 12 county regions because we think it's very important for those communities to have input into that process, to that plan. How, in fact, are we going to engage our communities? And having that critical analysis from the community itself is going to be very important to us.
So does this envision growth in addition to realignment of priorities throughout the college?
It will envision growth as we align priorities, if you will. Some of those priorities are ones that we already have. We will look at new ones. But again, that comes from the discussions that we will have. And there'll be major areas in which we will be focused in on.
Even today, I mean, you are in a position of having to respond fairly quickly to major shifts in the economy.
Yes.
Do you have the flexibility to do that now, or does that require that kind of strategic planning?
It requires strategic planning, but you asked the question, can we do it now? We are very flexible in what we do now. That's one of the hallmarks of our two-year technical colleges across the state. We offer customized training to businesses. Oftentimes, businesses need additional training that they can't provide, and we can turn on a dime, because it doesn't have to be in a 17 or 16-week regular semester. It could be 2 weeks, it could be 1 day. So the flexibility we have within our college to do that.
How much of the colleges, I mean, just in general, how much of the focus is on young people coming in out of high school, and how much is the returning student who's retraining, preparing for a next step in their career?
I think the focus is dual. You can't take one without the other. It also deals with the image of the institution. Oftentimes I've heard in some of my tours, has the college really moved to a transfer institution. 60% of our students are in technical training, 40% are in transfer. So even when we look at those students, the new students coming in, as well as continuing students, we have to focus on both of those. It also gives us an opportunity to have greater engagement with our K-12 partners across the district. And that is an area in which we will have to enhance. We will continue to improve it, and as I meet with school superintendents, that would be one of the things that will be on my agenda.
And I would imagine that the students you serve stay in the state pretty much. Is that accurate?
Pretty much so. Our students are real state-oriented. Most of them do not go out the state for other jobs, so they're right here. So the training that we're doing is really providing individuals with those skills to stay in our state, in our community, contribute to the economic development, and also the quality of life in our community.
I want to talk about the global perspective and the achievement gap when we come back with Dr.
Great.
Jack Daniels right after this. I am back with Dr. Jack Daniels, the president of Madison College, talking about the first few months of his tenure as the 8th president of Madison College. And already you've talked about the mission of Madison College as being preparing students for the global marketplace and offering global cultural events, I guess, as part of that. So talk about your philosophy in terms of a community college like Madison College in the global context.
Madison College really is looking forward to expanding its wings, if you will. We have a great international program and great leadership in there. The program is really growing over the last 4 to 5 years. Our ability to work with other educational institutions in other countries is very viable for us. I've had meetings in the last 3 to 4 weeks with individuals from the Ukraine, also from Ireland, and we've had those relationships, and we do a lot of study abroad. But I think it also gives us an opportunity to look at international business and exportation, those types of careers, and the ability to connect with those companies, but also connect our own students from a training portion to those companies as well, and those countries. I think globally, because we're in a global economy, we have to be prepared to our students to look from a global perspective, not just from a purely parochial type of perspective, if you will. And we're moving in those directions.
What is the diversity like in Madison College? Does it reflect international students, and is it as diverse a population as some people might think?
From this area, probably 18% of our student body, if you look at the Dane County, is probably folks of color. When we think about the whole entire district, about 15% of people of color.
Okay.
We have, I want to say about 56% female and 43% male, somewhere in there. We know also, as we look at the demographics of our area, that we are serving a little bit more than the percentage of each one of those areas, those ethnic groups that we have talked about. But we need to drill down. We need to drill down in terms of what are the populations that we aren't serving. Nationally, you take the major research universities, many of them take probably 10 or 11, 12% of the tops of their class, at least 90% of individuals. And our economies throughout this country, there's a large dependence on that 90%. And we need to be able to train that 90%. We need to be able to train, educate, and bring students into us who can actually go back out into our local economy and be the workers that we're looking for, be it in manufacturing, be it in healthcare, automotive, many of the different types of trades that we have, and be able to really effectuate economic development in this area. It also will have a tremendous impact on the quality of life in these areas. I know that the Race to Equity report, as it talked about the poverty gap, the achievement gap, one of the things that it did not talk about it in detail was the college going rate. And what is the college going rate with those diverse populations?
So do you see a connection between all of those?
There is a tremendous connection. And I think that one of the ways that we have to address those problems is that what are going to be the collaboratives and partnerships that we have to develop so that we can actually engage these communities so that they could have greater access and then move to success in terms of the careers that they're looking for.
In the last 2 minutes we have left, Dr. Daniels, talk about something that you've raised a couple of times, which is people and data.
My belief in data is about data-driven. I think in the past we will make a lot of assumptions. And I think making assumptions without having the data behind it, as you change programs, you refine programs, you can delete, eliminate, it's really worthless at this point. The value is to have the data that drives us to the next point. And oftentimes the data is just not a quantitative data, it's qualitative. We have asked students, actually, what are their opinions about things? You know, I found that in many of the colleges that I have been in previously, we never asked students how they felt or what their perceptions of their education or the services that they were receiving. And I think we've turned to turn that page, especially with our two-year institutions, to look at what are the students' needs from their perspectives and how can we start to match them. So the data that we have to look at has to be quantitative, but also have a qualitative edge as well.
So there will be new data collection obvious
Yes.
at Madison College.
Most definitely.
And how that data is used.
Yes.
Welcome to town.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Nice to meet you, and stop back anytime.
I will do that.
We're going to come back and wrap
Thank
up
you.
For the Record right after this. My thanks to Dr. Jack Daniels for being here today. We're back next Sunday. Have a great week.